Hi, this is Doug Miola with KickPort International. Thanks for tuning in. We receive a number of comments, questions, and inquiries regarding the KickPort products. So we thought it'd be a great idea to put together a video that will address some of the frequently asked questions that we receive most commonly. We'd like to provide you with some more information on the products. Some of them are general, some of them are more specific, but all around to give you some tips and tricks and more information to help you get the most out of your KickPort products and to also get the most out of your drum sound. So we're going to go through some actual questions that we received through social media and emails. So the question is, what's going to happen when I put a hole in my snare drum head or my rack tom or my floor tom heads? Here's a snare drum head for a 1-inch port, and if you can see here, it's a perfectly round circle. You use an X-Acto knife, and this little black ring is called a T-ring. And what you do to install the actual FX port into a snare drum or a rack tom or a floor tom, you actually adhere this ring to your head first. It's adhesive. And then you also match it up and put one on the other side. So here you have 2 T-rings on either side of your head. Then you go ahead with an X-Acto knife and cut the center out. So you actually have a double reinforcement here that will protect the integrity of the head and actually make it stronger than it was before. So the answer to the question is, no, your head won't be affected negatively by cutting a hole in it, although it does seem kind of unconventional. Technically, when we talk about volume, it really comes down to sound pressure and how heavy or how light we hit a drum. That's what's going to create the volume, unless you're dealing with amplification, microphones, things like that. So you do get a massive enhancement of sound with the KickPort, obviously. The idea with the KickPort is to bring out the lower frequencies of the bass drum that you normally wouldn't be able to hear if you weren't installing one in your bass drum. You also will experience more warmth, depth, more tone and resonance. You'll have lots of power and attack coming out of your bass drum. And you can really dramatically feel the difference. It's one of those things with some of the frequencies that we experience when we use one of these, is that we're feeling frequencies that our ears can't perceive. It's just like if you go to a concert and you have these massive subwoofers in an arena. You don't hear some of those low-end bass notes, but you're feeling them when your chest thumps. That's the idea of the KickPort for bass drum. It really brings out those frequencies that you feel and you don't necessarily hear. You also get some nice natural EQing. This removes some of the unwanted overtones that sometimes can make the bass drum sound a little bit tinny or that affect the attack of the drum. So obviously lots of great benefits with the KickPort for bass drum. One of the main reasons why we actually suggest that drummers use the FX ports on the batter side is simply because of mic placement. So if you're playing a gig, you're obviously going to have, hopefully, a mic for each drum. Sometimes you don't get that luxury, but you have the port, so you want to be able to have the microphone pick up the effect of the port. So mounting it on the batter side is going to give you more of an option. If it's mounted on the resonant side of your toms or your floor toms, the mic's going to be on the top. You'll still experience the FX port enhancement and the qualities that it brings to your drum, but it will be less dramatic coming through the PA system. You'll still feel the increased frequency response and the punch and the warmth and the articulation, but having it on the batter side is going to allow the microphones to pick it up more readily And the other nice thing that I really like about having the ports installed on the batter side is that, especially with my floor toms, if I want to tune and get a lower pitch or a lower note, I can still get that out of the drums, but I can tune the heads a little higher and still get a nice feel and playability from the surface of the heads, because the ports are lowering my frequency. So you can get some really nice attack and playability and smoothness out of your batter heads and still maintain a lower pitch. So you get that really nice articulation, especially on your bigger drums. If you're using like 16 and 18 inch or 20 inch floor toms, you don't want to feel like you're going into quicksand around the end of a fill. So that's another great reason to consider using the ports on the batter side. But again, experimentation is the key to getting a great drum sound. So all drummers take it personally and they look at their drum sound as their signature. So we encourage you to experiment and share your thoughts and your comments with us, and we'll be happy to help you out with any of those things that we can regarding where to mount the ports. Another great question is, do I have to use a 2-ply head, a coated head, a clear head? Do I have to use something in particular with the FX ports for snare drums, rack toms, and floor toms? And we use them on all types of heads, all brands, all thicknesses, 1-ply, 2-ply. They work the same way. Your sound is obviously going to be different. Of course, if I'm using a 2-ply coated head on a tom and I go to a 1-ply clear, the sound's going to be drastically different for that particular drum and that setup. So if you prefer a 1-ply head or a 2-ply head, you can use the ports on any of those, and you'll probably find that you like certain combinations based on your particular personal sound, but you do not need any special heads or any particular brands or thicknesses. Sometimes with 1-ply heads, these T-rings that you use to mount the FX port with, sometimes we'll actually use an extra one and just kind of adhere it on top of the one that's already there. That gives us just a little bit more thickness if we need it when we're mounting the port. But typically that's not something that we have to do. That's only for cases where maybe somebody feels that the port isn't making a snug enough connection to their drum head. But use any drum head you like, experiment, and again, share your feedback with us and let us know what you like. For the sound that you can feel, make sure that you check out more of the videos and all of the information on the KickPort products available on KickPort.com. Once again, this is Doug Miola with KickPort International. Thanks for watching, have fun, and we look forward to drumming with you soon.